scream and shout with all your might.
Scream, shout, whine, cry, do whatever it is you people do.
Dig in your heels and hold on tight.
Chain yourself to a tree in the forest if you're an eco-wacko.
Either you are wrong or I am right.
And don't forget the ever-present third option, the option that's present even at 6 o'clock in the morning, like right now. You are wrong and I am right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, sirree, Bob. Here we are. Hold on, I got the coffee working. Of course, it's the instant coffee. Bad, yeah, the gross stuff. Randi, what's up? Yeah, you are, I know. There's nothing wrong with being up at 6 a.m. on a Wednesday morning. What is today? Today is the 8th? No, the 9th. I can never keep up with what day it is. Today's the 9th of March. It's not the Ides of March, but it's the 9th of March. Wednesday, 6 a.m. Here we are, stating the obvious. I am, of course, your host, Skip Doggy Dog. In the control room, the lovely, the adorable, the drinking her coffee and bitching Randi. Oh, stop your complaining. So, had the... hold on. Coffee. So I had my intro to philosophy class last night. We discussed utilitarianism. Very interesting stuff. Interesting in that anybody can still believe that bullshit. I'm going to have to do a stating the obvious covering utilitarianism and ethical egoism, of course. So that's coming up. A little preview of the future. Today, we are going to dredge back into the past. And this stack of things has been here for ages. We're going to talk about some crap from the bullhorn. Of course, it's been a while since I went through all this, which means I have things marked. I have my notes, I have my highlights. I'm going to read some things to you, and then I'm going to comment on these. What is this all about? This is from the bullhorn, Rocky Mountain bullhorn. For those of you not familiar with it, this is one of the local throwaway rags. They are slightly less communistic than the Fort Collins, Colorado one and the Weekly, which are both published by the Communist Party of the United States. The bullhorn occasionally publishes something in it which is written by someone who is not a member of the Communist Party. So I have a little bit more tolerance for the bullhorn. Plus I know one of the people from the bullhorn, which I didn't know I knew one of the people. Yeah, Kurt. You didn't know that? Kurt, who does theater over at Bob Blue. Yeah, he writes for the bullhorn. I only found that out recently. You saw Kurt in... what do you call that thing? The Pinter play. Yeah, he was in that. He was Dooley. Yeah, he was in Angels in America, and he's going to be in not Buried Child. That's next season. Death of a Salesman. All right. Anyway, I got to get to work. I got to get to work here because I got to get to work at 7 o'clock. So this is one of those that will not go on for over an hour because I have to be at work. This is an op-ed column from Joseph Rouse, who is the publisher of the Rocky Mountain Bullhorn. I highlighted this part. This is what he writes. Now, this is from the... I know we're going back in time, but I warned all of you people. This is not a news of the. This is further proof that this is not a news of the day format. Okay, we talk about ideas here, regardless of how old they are. I mean, Jesus Christ, we're still talking about utilitarianism, and how old is that? We're still talking about Christianity. How old is that? Okay, so ideas do not get dated. That's why we talk about old things here. This is from pre-election. This is September 30th. 2004 issue of the Bullhorn. Joseph writes, I can barely stomach the fact that the people who seem like they haven't given this election or current affairs in general more than a passing thought are the ones the candidates are doing their best to satisfy. These voters, like an Aurora woman interviewed in a recent Rocky Mountain News article, admit to, quote, not watching the news for days, unquote. She follows with, quote, some days I feel like, well, maybe I'll stick with Bush, unquote. and seems either unaware or not concerned that her indecision is rooted in her own unwillingness to educate herself. Now, I find this fascinating, and I can barely stomach people who say things like this. But then, isn't this one of the same people? Isn't this the same liberal mindset that runs around and tells us that everybody has a right to vote and that more people should get out and vote? And as haven't I pointed out in the past, that the entire problem with our electoral process is not that we don't have enough people voting, because a large portion of the people in this country fall into the category of this woman and Joseph himself, that is to say, stupid. The problem with the electoral process in our country is that there are too many people voting, too many people who shouldn't be allowed to vote because they are either not intelligent enough to vote. And I know we're not supposed to say that some people are smarter than others, but the simple truth is, as much as this hurts your sad, pathetic little feelings, there are some people who know more about politics and economics and world events than other people. And why we should allow people who don't know that much about it to make these decisions is beyond me. Have I ever discussed voting reform? I hate this because I can't remember what I talk about. Have I ever discussed voting reform, Randy? No, I mean on the show. On Stating the Obvious. By the way, Stating the Obvious is brought to you by the Cynical Libertarian Society, which I am busy building a homepage for right now. Well, not right now, but in the process. 204eastsouth.com/CLS. And the email address, if you want to reach me here at Stating the Obvious, or if you want to reach the lovely and adorable Randi, although Republican, but we forgive her anyway, is sto@204eastsouth.com. Here's an article in here about my buddy Eric, who wanted to start the anti-Bush movement up. Yeah, I need to see how Eric's up to. Rub that into him about how he lost in his support for Kerry. My friend Eric used to work for Ronald Reagan, and he is not a Bush supporter. And of course, I don't blame him. I'm not a Bush supporter either. That reminds me, I'm reading the book by Ann Coulter. Is that how you say her name, Coulter? See, I'm not up on this stuff. I didn't even know Ann Coulter existed until about 6 months ago. Anyhow, I'm reading her book, Brain Cramp, How to Talk to a Liberal If You Must, which is a great title. I wanted to read one of her books and find out what she was about, and I picked that one because I love the title. Yeah, it's not bad. It's typical Republican fare. There are some things in it that I agree with, and there are some things in it I disagree with. What a surprise. As I've always said, the truth is neither on the right nor the left. The truth is with me. I am the truth. I speak the truth. I say the things that the rest of you people don't have the courage to say. For those of you wondering, here we go. See, I'm flipping through the bullhorns looking for my next victim. What is this? See, I love this because being me is so great. I highlighted all of this stuff months ago. I'm just going to read these things and respond. I don't need to prepare. I don't need notes. Not after that. Not after my 4-hour marathon. By the way, if you're listening to this and you missed my 4-hour marathon about marriage, monogamy, polygamy, and gay marriage, you need to go back and listen to that, because I was so brilliant. I was so brilliant. I still need to scan that article. Okay, I'm not focusing. Thank you, Randy. Randy is telling me to focus on what I'm supposed to be doing. October the 7th, 2004, Bullhorn. This is a letter to the editor. Kerry dominates debate. This is funny already. Kerry hasn't dominated anything. Kerry's wife dominated him. Just watching the first presidential debate. Amazing. Kerry has been hiding behind a curtain for weeks, but I think he just emerged. Strong, articulate, and focused. And this was playing in Bush's sandbox with the topic of national defense and fighting terrorism. I'm sorry, I can't help but laugh. This is so funny. Bush was fumbling and bumbling, no contest. What really is amazing is that Bush was tossed every softball pitch imaginable to talk up the same arguments he's been making all along the campaign trail. Yet he came across as uncertain and defensive. Surprisingly, we still need to get to know Kerry. Oh, excuse me. Defensive, blah, blah. Surprising. We still need to get to know Kerry, but tonight we saw signs of not simply a strong U.S. leader, but a strong world leader. Gordon McKinney from Bellevue. Well, Gordon, how's it feel to be a loser? I missed the first debate. I did see the second two, and I hate to break it to anybody, but Bush won the second two debates. I know I'm not supposed to be talking about the election anymore, but I can't help it. I have vowed to not talk about the election anymore because it's over, and the Democrats lost, as much as they want to pretend they didn't. They're still... I need to save that article right there. Democrats are still... to this day, I could go to MoveOn.org right now, and there's going to be something on... I'd do it if I was connected to the internet, and I'm too lazy to connect. I could go to MoveOn.org right now, and there would be an article on there about how George Bush stole the election. I guarantee it. Democrats still seriously believe that they won. Here we go. Coffee. Who's James Thompson? James Thompson is the co-editor at the Rocky Mountain Bullhorn. This is from the October 21st Rocky Mountain Bullhorn. Excuse me. This is what James Thompson writes in his op-ed column. While the government and its pet media outlets are doing their job here in the U.S. to cultivate an informed democracy, federal raids on left-leaning community radio stations, in-demand blocking Fahrenheit 9/11 from airing on pay-per-view, Sinclair Broadcasting mandating Kerry-bashing programming in the swing states, CBS yanking a 60 Minutes feature about forged documents cited in the run-up to the war, its parent company Viacom rejecting certain political ads on its cable station, the list goes on. America is at it across the globe as well. Our country's ratings worldwide have plummeted, except in Israel, as suggested by a recent poll of various countries, in spite of our more notable attempts at promoting democracy, like bombing Al Jazeera and later banning that network and Al Avia from Iraq. It might have worked for a while, but we were perhaps too blatant in our defense of free speech. Alright, so let's take a look at this. Here we have another globalist, utilitarian, communist, cocksucker type. And you also tell he's a cocksucker because in the little picture of him he has a goatee. Men, boys. Let's start here, okay? Tattoos and piercings were not cool when nobody had them. Now that everybody has them, they're still not cool. And what the fuck is it with goatees? Boys, why do you want your mouth to look like a woman's vagina? What is up with that? Do you think that's... what is up with that? Either grow a beard or shave, but why do you want your mouth to look like a woman's vagina? I don't understand this. So anyway, we can tell he's a pussy just by looking at his picture because he has a goatee. I know, I have friends who have goatees, and, what can I do? Believe me, I'd like to hold them down and shave those things off. That is so faggot looking. I know. I know. Alright, let's take a look at this. I lost my place. Here is his complaint. Okay, federal raids on left-leaning community radio stations. Well, I have no clue what he's talking about, so I can't respond. In-demand blocking Fahrenheit 9/11 from airing on pay-per-view. Did they block it, or did they just not... See, now what is in-demand is... Alright, in-demand is not a network, right? You don't know either. See, Randi and I don't sit around watching television like you stupid people all day long. I only know of the Oprah Winfrey Show because I've heard of it. I've never actually seen it, unlike many of you. If in-demand is a network, they didn't block anything, they just didn't show it. If in-demand is the company, if it's a private company, they have every right to decide what they want to show and what they don't want to show. So, that's irrelevant. Sinclair Broadcasting, I do know about this one. Sinclair Broadcasting did not mandate Kerry bashing program. They showed programming that was critical of Kerry, which of course is the same thing to a communist leftist as bashing. Because remember, a communist regards telling the truth as an attack. They have to, because they're lying all the time. And that was, ooh, man, my brain, I had to think for a minute there. Another drink of coffee. My brain was seizing up. That was pretty bad. Communism, socialism, the left, liberalism, utilitarianism. I'm going to start using the word utilitarian a lot more, because last night I just realized how much I hate utilitarians. All of these people rely on untruths and lies and misleading people in order to get what they want, which is, of course, the enslavement of as many people as possible. So the fact that Sinclair is simply telling the truth about something and airing a program that tells the truth about something is, of course, terrifying to these people. CBS yanking a 60 Minutes feature about forged documents cited in the run-up to the war. I don't know about this. They yanked. First of all, CBS is a network. I may disagree with CBS, but CBS can yank anything they want to yank. It's their network. See, these people don't grasp this. The little James here doesn't grasp the concept of private ownership. If CBS wants to yank something from their own network, they can do that. You don't have to like it. But the point is, he doesn't say, was this feature about the forged documents, was it a feature about how the documents were actually forged and Dan Rather's a lying piece of shit? Or was it a document about, well, I know they're not forged, in fact they are actually accurate? It doesn't actually say. But all I can say here is CBS can do what the fuck it wants with CBS's programming. Its parent company Viacom rejecting certain political ads on cable stations. Again, they can reject whatever they want. It's a private business. A communist wouldn't understand that. Maybe see. Yet, of course, little James here, as the co-editor of the Rocky Mountain Bullhorn, he sits around and accepts and rejects what he's going to put in the Bullhorn, right? Maybe he shouldn't do that. Maybe I should get to decide what's in the Bullhorn. Excusez-moi. Our country's ratings worldwide have plummeted, as suggested by a recent poll of various countries. And see, this is why people like this and people like Kerry do not need to be in charge. As much as I despise Bush, this is one of the main things about Kerry that scared me the most, is it doesn't matter what other countries think of us. All of these left-wing, liberal, communist, pinko bastards like James and Kerry want to govern America based on the opinion of people in other countries. And you know what? I don't give a fuck what other people in other countries think. If they don't like America, that is tough shit. It's really just that simple. There's nothing in the Constitution that says America needs to take into account the opinions of people in other countries before we do anything. It's not there. It's not there. Oh, this is sweet. Okay. We're still on October 21st, Bullhorn. This is an article about young people working for politicians to get them elected. The title is Fountain of Youth, and the blurb line here says, candidates increasingly look to young staffers to fill key positions on their campaign. Now, of course, this article is about how these young people are getting involved in trying to save the world, and they're following their political ideals and all this other shit. What it's actually about is how these young people are being brainwashed. And reading the article, I'll notice that they didn't cover anybody who's working for any conservative or Republican candidates. Imagine that. They only talk to people who work for liberal Democrats. It's it's almost a 2-page article here, but I only have a couple of things highlighted because this is just going to make my point. I do want to say that, first of all, it has a picture of my old nemesis, Ashley Wheeland. Wheeland? Wheeland. She used to write at the, she used to be a CSU student. She wrote in the Collegian. I used to make fun of her op-ed pieces because she's a communist idiot. Although she is almost attractive, I have to confess. If she wasn't a communist pinko, I might be willing to give her the time of day. Does that qualify as my does that qualify as my sexist joke of the day, or do I need to make another one at some point? Randy says that's close, but not really. Okay. For those of you who may be listening for the first time, I make at least one sexist remark during every edition of Stating the Obvious. It's a tradition here. This is from the article. Quote, "We're talking about the very best here who go on to these jobs. They've already learned a lot by the time they're 20 or 22 years old." Unquote. Bill Chalupica. Chalupica? I might have actually pronounced that right. This is from Bill Chalupica, chair of the CSU Political Science Department. His last name is Chalupka. Chalupica? Chalupica. I'm not trying to degrade the man by making fun of his name. I really don't know how to say it. So we're talking about the very best here who go on to these jobs. They've already learned a lot by the time they're 20 to 22 years old. I would say that they haven't learned much of anything. Do you really want... How much world life experience can a 22-year-old kid have? See, this is part of, voting reform, this is part of my problem, okay? Why are we letting these we're sitting here pretending these little kids have some kind of great grand life experience to contribute to the world. I'm sorry, but a 22-year-old barely has the life experience to wipe their own ass. And to sit here and pretend that these people are the best and the bright and they're going out there doing all these wonderful things is just pathetic. At the very end of the article, the very last paragraph, quote, "It can be really stressful, admits Wieland, field director for Salazar. Quote, but every time I see my candidate, I remember why I'm doing it." Unquote. You're doing it because you are brainwashed. You're doing it because you're young and dumb and gullible. And right, here we go. And see, this is why you don't see this article having any under 20... What was their criteria for this thing? Under 25? Yeah. Anyway, they're under 25 criteria for this article. This is because people that young don't work for Republican or right-wing candidates. Brain cramp. Because you have to be older and have a little experience. Now, after you've spent 10 years paying taxes and supporting your welfare queens, suddenly you realize, hey, I don't want to be a liberal anymore. It would be nice to actually keep my money. And so you join the Republicans because the Republicans are the party of financial conservativeness. I was going to say something else, but never mind. Republicans are the party of being... Stop it. Republicans are the party of financial conservativeness, fiscal conservativeness, reduced public spending, and reduced government. And so you go join the Republicans, and then you find out that actually the Republicans spend money like it's going out of style. And then, in fact, the government has spent the most money when we've had Republican presidents and Democrat Congresses, and that Republicans wouldn't know financial restraint if you slapped them in the fucking face with it and then shoved them up their ass. But at that point, you've already been a Democrat, and you can't go back to being a Democrat, so you've got to stay a Republican. It sucks ass. That's why you should join the Libertarian Party, which is the only true party which believes in cutting taxes, reducing government. Well, not the only true party that believes. The Libertarians is the only party that truly believes. Right. I have to stop doing this early in the morning, but that takes the fun out of it. The Libertarians are the only party that truly believe in reducing government, reducing taxes. Blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. This is the October 28th Bullhorn with their lovely cover, the Bye Bye Bush cover, where it shows George Bush falling through a trap door in the Oval Office, because of course they thought that they were going to... The media thought that they were going to remove George Bush from office, which was pretty funny. Bullhorn endorsements for 2004 from the Bullhorn editors. I just want to point out that of all of their endorsements, remember now, the media wants us to believe that they are unbiased. The media wants us to believe that they are objective, all this other horseshit. So then, how is it that the Bullhorn endorsements for 2004, for every position, all the way from the president, all the way to the local elections, of all their endorsements, I could do a quick count here of how many endorsements they're making. I should do that. Let me flip. Because, of course, why do magazines always do shit like they have their endorsements, right? It's on page 9 and it says continued on page 19. it's like, okay, so why do I have to flip to 19? Why can't it be on the next page? The answer, of course, is because of advertising. They have to plan their layout around the advertising. And why do they have to plan around the advertising? Because advertising is their source of income. And why do they need income? Because they're actually trying to make money. But wait, isn't capitalism evil? I mean, what about Halliburton? All we hear about from the liberal media is how capitalism and making money is evil. Yet, I have to flip from page 9 to page 19 because you fucking assholes are laying out your magazine around the advertisements because you're trying to make money. Because, in reality, see, capitalism is okay when the media is when the bullhorn makes money, capitalism is okay. It's only when Halliburton makes money that capitalism is suddenly evil. This is why you people are fucking hypocrites, and why I fucking despise you. Endorsements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, wait, those are referendums. Never mind. Let me start this over again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Out of 18 candidate endorsements, there is one libertarian, Dan Cochran, and there was one unaffiliated, Pam Howard, that they endorsed. The other 16 are all Democrats. Now, you're going to tell me that these people seriously could not find one election where the Republican candidate was preferable to the Democrat candidate if they were actually taken on an individual basis. I find that hard to believe. If you're going to try to tell me that these people are unbiased and objective, I'm going to tell you that you're an idiot. Oh, wait, I am stretching. I am seriously stretching. Oh, boy. This is hilarious. There's this big one-page ad in here. If you live in a swing state like Colorado and love Nader, vote strategically. Join hundreds of progressives to vote Kerry. Join hundreds of progressives. There's hundreds of them out there. By the way, what is a progressive? Progressive is a liberal who's too stupid to know he's a liberal. The race in Colorado was close. Bush 46%, Kerry 45%, Nader 3%. Of course, they were trying to get this 3% for Nader to vote for Kerry under the impression that Kerry would win the election. But what's funny is these little quotes over on the side. Ben Cohen, co-founder of Ben & Jerry's, quote, "The number one priority for those of us who care about the environment, healthcare, jobs, poverty, and everything else is to get rid of Bush. That's why I'm voting for John Kerry," unquote. All right, now let's look. What does this tell us about liberalism? Let's take a moment. Let's look at what does this quote tell us about liberalism. The number one priority for those of us who care about the environment, healthcare, jobs, poverty, and everything else is to get rid of Bush. So if you care about the environment, the number one priority is to get rid of Bush. Your number one priority is not to, say for instance, recycle, or buy some land and preserve it, or attempt to educate people about the environment. No. Your number one priority is to get rid of Bush. We care about health care. Well, we ain't going to touch health care today. Care about jobs. So if you care about jobs, your number one priority is not to start a business and create more jobs. Your number one priority is not to reduce taxes on small businesses and corporations so that they can have more money to hire more people and create more jobs. No, your number one priority is to get rid of Bush. So if you care about poverty, your number one priority, if you care about poverty, is not to help some poor people, or to donate money to the food bank, or to take a homeless person to your house and give them a shower and let them live with you until they get a job. No. If you care about poverty, your number one... it sure as hell wouldn't be to reduce taxes so that poor people have more money. No. If you care about poverty, your number one priority is to get rid of Bush. Everything, all of this stuff is your number one priority for those of us who care is to get rid of Bush. Well, here's what you need to do, liberals. You need to stop caring. You need to get off your asses and do something. the point that this makes about liberalism is that liberalism is not about doing anything. As I have so brilliantly said, everything I say is brilliant, even at 6:30 in the morning. As I have so brilliantly said, if all the people who claim to care about the homeless and cared about the homeless, then there wouldn't be any homeless. But you see, liberals don't actually care about homeless people. They care about increasing the power that government has. They care about increasing their power in government. That's why what's important to these people in this election is not doing anything to help the environment or to help the poor or any of this other horseshit. What's important to them was, election's over with, they lost. What was important to them was getting a Democrat in the White House because they want power. And don't misunderstand me, for those of you stupid people out there. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying the Republicans aren't a bunch of worthless power mongers. Also, they are. The difference here is that the libertarians, the liberal Democrats, are trying to pretend that they aren't. You know, Republicans, I've always said, are at least a little bit more honest about the fact that they, like the Ann Coulter chick in her book there, where she says, people ask me, do I think we should invade other countries, kill their leaders, and convert them to Christianity? And I say yes, now more than ever. Do I disagree with that idea? Yeah. But is she at least being honest about it? You've got to give her credit. At least she's being honest about the fact that she thinks we should invade other countries, kill their leaders, and convert them to Christianity. Liberals have opinions which are just as disgusting, but they try to hide behind good intentions. Well, we don't want Kerry in there because we care about the environment. You don't want Kerry to be the president because you care about the environment. You want Kerry to be the president because you want power. Because you want to be able to use the power of the government to force people to believe the things you want them to believe. It has not a goddamn thing to do with trying to save the environment. What do we got here? This is the Bullhorn, November the 4th. After... Hold on a sec. Okay, I was looking at something else. After the election. Wednesday the 3rd. Exactly 2 hours before press time, word that John Kerry conceded the presidential election to George W. Bush hit the media. It's a sad day indeed. Sad is in bold. It's a sad day indeed at the Bullhorn office, and an embarrassing one for America. Embarrassing is also in bold. Not to mention a tad embarrassing for the Bullhorn, too, as we printed a hopeful bye-bye Bush in giant bold letters on our cover last week. Yes, it was embarrassing. But it's okay, because you're a liberal journalist, and everything you do is embarrassing when looked at by somebody with intelligence. So you've been embarrassing yourself since the first edition. Why stop now? This is kind of a long article here. Well, by that I mean I have a lot highlighted. Thank you, Randi. There's something else in here. Alright. Do I want to do this? Yeah, we've got time. And justice for all professors. CSU adjunct instructors demand equal treatment. So let me give you a little background on this before I start trying to read. The adjunct teachers over at CSU are essentially treated pretty harshly. They teach semester to semester. They have no guarantees. Of course, there are no guarantees in life. I don't want to sound like a liberal. But they have no guaranteed employment. They teach semester to semester. They find out their classes at the last minute. They get paid really low. I'm trying to remember, is it $3,000 a class? I think it's $3,000 a class. It may be in here. Yeah, $3,000. So anyway, the point is that they finally got fed up with it, and they started trying to make their position and plight known to the students of CSU. I've known about this long before they did their publicity routine. So anyway, let me just start reading here. Dan Robinson leans back in his chair in the modest-sized office in Eddie Dan Robinson leans back in a chair in his modest-sized office in Eddy Hall. On the desk in front of him, a tidy, foot-tall stack of essays awaits his grading, while a pile of blue exam books sits half-pillaged on the floor at his feet. Robinson's history with Colorado State University spans more than 32 years. Excuse me. spans more than 32 years from when he received his undergraduate and his master's degree to his current position as an adjunct English instructor, a spot he's held for 15 years. A full-time instructor, Robinson teaches 4 classes and averages more than 40 hours per week, taking into consideration the researching, preparation, teaching, and grading required for each section. And believe you me, that shit takes a lot of time. This week, he says, gesturing towards the towering stack of student work, he'll more likely clock close to 70 hours. Robinson, like many other adjuncts, is a published author and holds a Ph.D. in his field. Then goes on and on. So we have established that, the point is I am establishing that these people, and I agree with this, these people are, many of them are just as educated as tenured professors, just as published as tenured professors, and they certainly work a hell of a lot more than these tenured professors who teach 1 class a week and spend the rest of the time doing nothing. The article continues. Additionally, adjuncts in the English department have not received a pay raise since 1998, and those who work full-time earn only $24,000 annually, less than high school graduates. Per section, adjuncts receive $3,000, the lowest rate on campus. Right, so each class you teach is worth $3,000. And trust me, that's not... for the amount of work that goes into this. I mean, I know adjunct teachers and I know teachers in CSU and everything. Trust me, $3,000 is not a good price for something like that. Robinson, who is acting as one spokesperson for this group of adjuncts who's trying to get more money and better treatment, claims that if the university raised the yearly salaries of every adjunct in the College of Liberal Arts to $28,500, the total amount would still be less than what it cost for CSU President Larry Penley's inauguration party. Quote, President Penley's inauguration is an important thing. He's a new president here, but at the same time, that's all we're asking for, the amount of money they spent in one day on our president, unquote. Now here we go. Yes, you little liberal cocksuckers, because I guarantee that Robinson is a liberal. I guarantee he voted for Kerry. But you know what? See, this is what you people get. This is what liberalism is all about. Spending money on... Everything is liberalism this morning. Like... Randy's asking me what the hell does liberalism have to do with this? I just like calling people liberals when it's just fun. Okay. But CSU is run by liberals. And this is their thinking. And see, I completely agree with this. We'll spend all this money on Penley's little inauguration. Why? Because he's a rich, powerful white man who's the president of CSU, and we're going to kiss his ass. But the people out there doing the actual work, the people teaching the classes, people grading the papers, well, fuck them. Piss on them. They actually work. Why should we pay them? Why should we treat them with any respect or dignity? I mean, every year CSU has its little employee appreciation day, and one day out of the year you get to go down there and you get a free hamburger and a bag of chips and a soda pop. Woo! Yeah, I feel so special. For those of you who may not know this, I work at CSU, and I'm not a teacher. I am what's called a state classified, which means I'm like a quote-unquote normal, regular employee. I get treated like shit, too. So believe me, I feel these people's pain. But, I mean, this is a valid point. We can blow all this money on a little inauguration party for the new president because he's a rich white man who votes Democrat. But fuck the people that teach the classes. Fuck the people that help the students learn. Fuck the people who help the students get their degrees. Fuck the people grading all the homework. Fuck the people staying up at night preparing their lesson plans. Fuck them. We're going to treat them like shit. We're going to pay them like shit. We're going to piss all over them. Why? Because they're not rich and they may or may not vote Democrat. Alright, that's enough. I think I've made my point. In addition to salary constraints, adjuncts are also concerned about their lack of... I know another person who's an adjunct. She told me she's been working... How long has she been working at CSU? Like 12 years, 15 years, something like that. She's making the $3,000 per section. She teaches one section each time. She told me one time she got a One year she got a $500 raise. The next year they took it away from her. I'd love to see you give Penley a raise and take it away from him. That'll never happen. Why? Well, he's the president. He's a rich white man who kisses ass and pretends he cares about Samantha Spady when she drinks herself to death, and he votes Democrat, But the people who teach classes, well, we'll give them a raise and then take it away from them. Why? Because we can treat them like shit, because they simply work for a living. Alright, let me go on. In addition to salary constraints, adjuncts are also concerned about their lack of job security and last-minute scheduling to which they are subjected. Sometimes instructors will receive their class schedules, their only notification that they will be employed, just weeks before a semester begins, leaving them little time to prepare. I mean, that's just... Now, don't misunderstand me here, folks. Coffee. Coffee's getting cold, too. I am the last person that you will ever hear support the position that people deserve jobs or have a right to a job or anything else. But at the same token, there's this thing just called normal, decent respect of other people. If you have an employee, and if you want to keep your employees, it behooves you to not treat them like shit. And so, why can't CSU figure their scheduling out a little sooner and let these people know what classes they're going to teach and when they're going to teach them and if they're going to be teaching at all? I mean, I don't think it can be that goddamn complicated to schedule some classes. I mean, CSU has only been scheduling classes for, how long has this university existed? 60, 70 years? I mean, they've only been scheduling classes for 60 years. If you haven't figured out how to do it by now, you're never going to. I don't think that the adjuncts are asking too much here just to get their schedules a little sooner than 2 weeks ahead of time. Blah, 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 blah. Some students ask, quote, where does my tuition money go? If it doesn't go towards my education, then where? Robinson says. Students were, of course, surprised to find out that these adjuncts are paid like shit. And, well, I guess I can see why they're surprised. I would wonder why they're surprised. I guess they don't know what's going on around them. Which goes to show how good that education thing is working out for us all. But, they should ask that question. I know where their money goes, believe me. It goes to pay Penley. It goes to buy these little golf carts that CSU student employees drive around on campus to change light bulbs. How many CSU... I'm not making this up. How many CSU employees does it take to change a light bulb? 3? How many... I'm not making this up, people. If you're a CSU student and you're wondering, where does my money go? How many CSU employees does it take to install a drainage outlet in a floor? 5. 1 to do the work, 4 to stand around and watch. I'm not making this up. So if you're a student, you're wondering where the hell your tuition money's going, I'll tell you where it's not going. It's not going to pay the people who are teaching you, and it's not going to provide you with the things to be taught. It's going to pad the pockets of people like Penley and people like Dave Neal, who's the director of the place where I work. That low-life piece of shit, cocksucking son of a bitch, gets paid way more than any human deserves. He's a piece of garbage. He's an idiot. Although I'll admit he is getting us funding. Although I'm not sure where he's getting the funding from, but that funding is either student tuition money or taxpayer tax money. So we're spending an assload of money. You want to know where your money's going? We're spending an assload of money building Dave Neal a new office. There's where your money's going. Alright, so on the subject of going, I have to start going to work. You people are lucky. That means I'm going to shut up. I didn't make a whole lot of progress, but I made a little bit of progress. We got class tonight. Randy, hit the music. We got class tonight. It's Wednesday night ethics class. We're talking about Kant. Oh boy, excitement. It'll be good though. I'm going to do an STO about egoism, about utilitarianism. We're going to get that knocked out in the near future, I hope, in between my busy schedule, because I've got so much going on right now. But anyway, Good being here with you all, imparting my wisdom. Enjoy your day. I'll be back. Yeah, that's what they're afraid of. I'll be back. Some are going, oh God, he's going to come back. No, please help us.